private grumbling from Jeannie about the way it was framed that LeBron was saving a floundering franchise, grumbling about at times his outsized ego, about not wanting to sign him to a contract extension or feeling that he wasn't grateful enough, even talking about trading him at one point. This is before he got his no trade clause in 2024.
Nobody thought it could happen. Nobody believed it would get this bad. Nobody imagined that the team built on legacy, loyalty, championships, and California shine would fall apart from the inside like a collapsing empire. But tonight, the Los Angeles Lakers aren't just struggling. They aren't just stumbling. They are imploding violently, publicly, and at a speed that's terrifying even the most loyal fans. What we're seeing right now isn't a slump. It isn't a bad week or an off night. It's a full-scale meltdown, the kind that destroys dynasties, shatters locker rooms, and exposes truths the franchise spent years trying to bury beneath. We'll fix it soon, interviews and forced smiles. And at the center of it all, tension, jealousy, finger-pointing, egos slamming into each other like collisions on a freeway with no brakes. Players are frustrated, coaches are overwhelmed, executives are panicking behind closed doors. And sources inside the organization, the ones who used to defend the purple and gold to their last breath, are now whispering the same terrifying sentence. "This is worse than you think. A lot worse." Leaked audio. Blown-up group chats, players who won't look each other in the eyes, veterans privately saying they want out, young guys losing trust in leadership, and a superstar who feels more isolated than ever. This isn't basketball anymore. This is a sinking ship being held together with duct tape and denial, and everyone on board is seconds away from pointing fingers at the person they believe lit the spark. Because according to one insider, the team isn't divided by skill. The team is divided by secrets. And tonight, those secrets are about to explode into the open, one by one, exposing the betrayal, the anger, the fear, and the truth behind the Lakers' darkest season yet. This is only the beginning. The problems in Los Angeles didn't start last night. They didn't start last week. They didn't even start this season. The truth, the real truth that the Lakers front office has been terrified to admit, is that this implosion has been building for years, bubbling beneath the surface like a volcano everyone pretended was extinct. And now it's erupting right in front of the world. From the outside, the Lakers looked fine. Star power? Check. Championship expectations? Check. A global fan base willing to forgive anything? Double check. But behind those bright lights and perfectly polished press conferences, this team was rotting from the inside. It started with frustration, tiny cracks nobody noticed at the time. A missed rotation here, a clipped comment there, a passive-aggressive glance during huddles, a teammate walking away from a high five he should have accepted. Little moments, small fractures, insignificant things until they weren't. Because those cracks didn't go away, they multiplied. Players who once defended each other began complaining privately. Guys who used to stay after practice to build chemistry started leaving early, headphones on, interactions minimal. Veterans whispered about the lack of discipline. Younger players whispered about favoritism. Coaches whispered about effort. Executives whispered about regret. And every whisper was another step toward collapse. Sources inside the locker room, people who have never spoken negatively about the purple and gold, have started revealing exactly what's going wrong. And according to one of them, it's not losing that's killing this team. It's the tension, it's the eyes, it's the conversations happening when the cameras aren't rolling. Another said, "There's a divide, a real one, a heavy one, and it's growing every day." The divide didn't begin as hate. It began with pressure, championship pressure, media pressure, legacy pressure, pressure on egos, on relationships, on leadership, on chemistry. And the weight started falling unevenly, crushing the fragile pieces of the team first. Certain players began feeling like they were being scapegoated. Others felt unheard. Some felt overlooked. And one superstar, the one who was supposed to lead them, started feeling like everything was being placed at his feet. There were film sessions that ended in silence, timeouts where players argued instead of strategized, huddles where two players wouldn't even stand next to each other, flights where teammates sat as far away as possible, team dinners where tension hung thicker than the air in the room. People around the organization knew something was wrong when practices changed. Suddenly, the energy was gone. The smiles, forced, the laughter, non-existent, the chemistry, completely evaporated, one assistant coach told a friend privately. "This isn't basketball anymore. This is babysitting grown men who don't trust each other." And that lack of trust was the first domino, because then came the jealousy. Certain players felt roles were being taken from them. Others felt they were being used incorrectly. Some believed the coaching staff had favorites, and the worst part, the front office ignored it, hoping it would magically work itself out. It didn't, it never does. When the season started slipping, things got worse. Players stopped talking during defensive breakdowns. Some refused to participate in optional workouts. There were reports of eye rolls, sarcastic comments, and one near-fight that was quietly erased from the narrative before the media could sniff it out. One veteran was reportedly heard saying, "I'm not dying for this team, not this version." Another young player told a family member, "They don't believe in us, they don't even believe in themselves." And then came the secret group chats. Yes, multiple, one for the younger guys, one for the veterans, one for players unhappy with their minutes, one for players unhappy with the coaching staff. And once the team split into private circles, it was over. Because group chats lead to alliances, alliances lead to tension, and tension leads to full-blown implosion. The front office started panicking. They held serious internal conversations. They pulled players aside. They tried to mediate. They tried to inspire. They tried to enforce discipline. But it didn't work because they weren't addressing the real issue. The team wasn't united. It wasn't cohesive. It wasn't aligned. It was fractured, shattered, splintered, broken. And the players felt it. One source described a recent locker room moment that perfectly captures the downfall. No one looked at each other. No one spoke. The vibe was dead. You could feel the disappointment in the air, and not disappointment in the game, disappointment in each other. And that's when the anger started to surface. Players snapping at each other, veterans calling out effort, young guys rolling their eyes, superstars demanding more intensity, role players feeling like they were being blamed for everything. During one timeout, a mic accidentally captured a player muttering, "Man, this team got no heart." Another player responded sharply, "Some of us got heart, some of y'all just got excuses." The clip never aired, but insiders confirm it happened. And the moment that clip was described to reporters, the truth became undeniable. The Los Angeles Lakers weren't losing because of missed shots. They weren't losing because of coaching. They weren't losing because of injuries. They were losing because they stopped being a team. But the most terrifying part of this entire meltdown, the part that fans, analysts, and even the players themselves didn't see coming. Someone, a player, a coach, or a staff member, began leaking what was really happening inside the organization. Tiny leaks at first, then bigger ones, then messages that exposed real conversations. Someone inside the Lakers wanted the world to know, this team is done. And whoever that person is, they're about to reveal something that will shake the franchise harder than anything before. Because the next leak, the one brewing right now, contains the first major twist, a betrayal inside the Lakers' locker room that nobody expected. And once it comes out, the entire NBA will never look at this team the same again. The first real sign that something had snapped inside the Lakers didn't come in a fourth-quarter collapse, or a heated timeout argument, or even a viral clip. It came on an ordinary Tuesday morning practice, one that should have been routine, quiet, structured, predictable. Instead, it turned into the moment everything inside the organization changed forever. Players walked into the practice facility barely acknowledging each other. Some had headphones on, blasting music loud enough to drown out their thoughts. Others stared at their phones like they were preparing for a funeral. The locker room was filled with tension so thick you could see it in the air, tight shoulders, clenched jaws, silent stares. One assistant coach said later, "It felt like walking into a room where two people just got done arguing, except everybody in the room felt that way." But the energy wasn't the real problem. The real problem was who wasn't talking, the Lakers' supposed leaders. The ones meant to guide the team, unify the squad, hold everything together. They weren't speaking to each other, not a word, not a nod, not even eye contact. And everyone noticed. During warm-ups, the spacing was awkward. During drills, the communication was broken. During scrimmages, players argued over calls that didn't matter. One young player asked a trainer quietly, "Bro, what's going on with them? This ain't normal." It wasn't. Because the night before, a private team meeting meant to clear the air turned into a verbal war zone. Multiple sources confirmed what happened, voices raised. Hands slammed on tables. A veteran threw a towel and stormed out. A younger player muttered something under his breath, and an older teammate confronted him. A star player openly questioned the effort level of the team. A role player snapped back, saying, "Maybe if we knew our roles, we'd play harder." That comment nearly started a physical fight. And in the middle of the chaos, a bombshell accusation was thrown. "Someone is leaking our conversations." The room froze. Because until that moment, Players assumed the media speculation came from vague sources, agents, reporters, analysts reading body language. But someone clearly knew too much. Someone had fed outsiders exact quotes from heated conversations. Someone had leaked the frustration that was supposed to stay private. Someone inside the Lakers was betraying the team, and it wasn't accidental, it was intentional. The meeting ended abruptly when a player yelled, "If I find out who's leaking, I'm done with this team." The room dispersed. People avoided each other. All trust evaporated in minutes, and by the next morning, the damage was irreversible. During practice, the tension boiled over fast. On one play, two teammates crashed into each other. One blamed the other. The argument escalated. Another teammate jumped in and took sides. Someone else threw a subtle jab. Coaches tried to calm things, but the energy was gone. The team wasn't listening. One source inside the facility said, "I've never seen grown men so divided over nothing and everything." Because this wasn't about basketball. This was about betrayal. This was about secrets. This was about someone, one player, staffer, or coach, feeding the outside world just enough information to make the Lakers look like a disaster. But why? That's where the twist begins. Later that day, a reporter published a story that shook the entire league. A story that contained details so specific, only someone inside the locker room could have revealed them. The article described which teammates were no longer speaking, who blamed who for the team's struggles. The exact moment the meeting erupted, a word-for-word quote from a star player. Growing resentment. Toward one leader, a veteran threatening to request a trade, a young player privately venting about his role, a coach saying, "We can't fix this internally." Fans read the story and lost their minds. Every detail matched what insiders had been whispering, meaning the leak wasn't speculation, it was truth. When the players saw the article, the facility turned into chaos. A few shouted at staff. A few sat in the corner fuming. One stormed out of the room, slamming the door so loudly that trainers jumped. And that's when the head coach made the situation worse. He called for a team accountability session. A mistake, because the session didn't bring clarity. It exposed the first major twist of the Lakers' implosion. Not only was someone leaking, they were leaking to destroy someone specifically. The leak wasn't targeting the entire team, it targeted one superstar. The article framed him as the source of frustration. It implied teammates didn't trust him. It suggested he wasn't the leader the team expected. It portrayed him as a problem instead of a solution. He knew immediately who the leak was meant to hurt. And he wasn't wrong. Because someone on the team, someone with influence, someone with envy, someone who wanted a bigger role, had started a private whisper campaign. "Maybe he is the reason we're losing," the superstar confronted the team. "This article wasn't random. Someone here wants to make me look bad." Silence. Cold, sharp silence. Then a voice from the back said, "Maybe we're all tired of pretending." The room erupted again, players shouting, chairs moving, a coach stepping between two teammates, someone throwing a water bottle, someone else yelling that they were done covering for people. Multiple insiders said the energy in that room felt dangerous. Someone even said, "I've never seen a team closer to breaking apart physically." But the twist didn't end there, because later that night, when everyone thought things couldn't possibly get worse, another story leaked. This time, the leak didn't just expose tension, it exposed a secret alliance inside the team. A group of players, 3 of them had formed their own circle. A circle with one goal: push the superstar out. They weren't just upset, they weren't just jealous, they weren't just frustrated. They were planning to force change through pressure, through influence, through calculated leaks designed to shift public perception. They believed the team couldn't succeed with him. They believed he was the problem. And the leak claimed they had been feeding reporters information for weeks, shaping the narrative quietly, strategically, methodically. A coup inside the Lakers' locker room. A mutiny, a power shift, one that most fans never even imagined was possible. But the most shocking detail? The leaker, the person orchestrating the inside sabotage, wasn't a bench player or a forgotten role piece. It was someone big, someone important, someone with enough clout to bend the locker room energy. Someone the superstar once called family. And even worse, this person wasn't done leaking. They were preparing to release the biggest story yet, a scandal that could destroy the Lakers' brand, front office, coaching staff, and player relationships all at once. The first twist revealed betrayal. The next twist, it will reveal a truth that will rip the Lakers apart. The leak that exposed the secret 3-man alliance inside the Lakers' locker room didn't just shock the team. It detonated them. It wasn't rumor anymore. It wasn't speculation. It was a full confirmation of what players had been whispering for weeks, that somebody inside the roster was no longer playing for wins. They were playing for war. And suddenly everyone was looking at everyone else differently. Practice became a battlefield of fake smiles, forced high fives, sarcastic nods, and eyes that lingered too long with suspicion. Players jogged through drills while their minds replayed the same question over and over. Who's trying to tear this team apart from the inside? And more importantly, who benefits if the superstar falls? Because that was the unspoken truth. The coup wasn't random. It had a target, a purpose, a plan. Someone wanted the superstar out, not traded quietly, not reshaped into a new role, not gently phased out. They wanted him publicly blamed, publicly dismantled, publicly humiliated. And the craziest part? The plan was working. Media narratives had already begun shifting. Analysts started questioning the superstar's leadership. Commentators hinted at locker room tension. Debate shows threw his name into trade packages. The noise was growing louder every day. But the superstar, he wasn't going down quietly. Because after practice, after hours of frustration boiling beneath the surface, he walked straight into the head coach's office and slammed the leaked article on the table. "You know damn well this wasn't an accident," he said. "Somebody inside is coming for me." The coach didn't deny it. He couldn't, because truthfully, he'd heard the whispers too. He tried to calm the superstar down, telling him they'd handle it internally. But the superstar cut him off. "No, I'm done being quiet." And that's when the real escalation began. Because that same night, another reporter published a new leak, one far more dangerous, far more specific, far more explosive. This leak revealed private audio from the team meeting a heated argument between two starters, a bench player calling out a veteran, the superstar demanding accountability, and the exact moment a teammate said, "Maybe the problem is you." Fans lost their minds. Comment sections exploded. The clip went viral. But the Lakers' locker room, it went silent, dead silent, because someone had crossed a line. Leaking quotes was one thing. Leaking the audio was something else entirely. It was betrayal on a level nobody could justify. And suddenly, there weren't 3 suspects, there were 12. Players started accusing each other privately, openly, emotionally. "You said it, didn't you? Why are you trying to make him look bad? I know you're leaking stuff, cut the act. Keep my name out your mouth. You think you should be the star. Is that what this is?" One player snapped so hard that staff had to physically separate him. Another punched a wall and bruised his hand. The head coach called an emergency team meeting again, and this time he didn't sugarcoat anything. "Someone in here is blowing this team up. If we don't figure it out, this season is done." But instead of unity, instead of honesty, instead of clarity, the room turned into a courtroom without rules, voices overlapping, accusations flying, no one taking responsibility, everyone blaming someone else. One player yelled, "I didn't leak anything, but maybe I should have." Another shouted, "If you got something to say about him, say it to his face." A third muttered just loud enough to be heard, "He's not the leader y'all think he is." The superstar stood up slowly, staring down the player who said it. "You got something you want to say?" The player didn't back down. "Yeah, I'm tired of pretending we built this around the right guy." The room froze, the coaching staff panicked. Players braced for a fight, but the superstar didn't throw a punch. His silence was worse, because everyone in the room saw something break in his eyes, the feeling of being betrayed by someone he once trusted. And that's when the shocking reveal dropped. During the meeting, right in the middle of the chaos, a team executive rushed into the room holding his phone with a look of pure panic. He whispered something to the coach. The coach's face went pale. He showed the superstar the screen. A new article had just been released. And this one? It wasn't about tension. It wasn't about arguments. It wasn't about leadership. It was an exposé with details nobody, not even close friends, not even analysts, not even teammates should ever have known. The leak claimed the Lakers front office had discussed trading the superstar not at the end of the season, not in the off-season, but immediately, as soon as the deadline opened, and even worse. The exposé claimed the trade talks were initiated by someone on the team, someone who told the front office, "We'll never win with him, it's time to move on." Another dagger, another betrayal, another internal attack launched from the shadows. The superstar looked around the room at the faces of men he thought he knew, teammates he thought were loyal, brothers he thought had his back, and said, "So it's one of you really went to management, one of you really tried to end my career here." No one spoke, no one blinked, no one moved, but one player swallowed a little too hard, another looked down at his shoes. A third shifted nervously in his seat. The superstar noticed all three, but something else happened too. Because after the expose dropped, a second leak appeared online minutes later. A burner account, brand new, no profile picture, following 0 people, posted a cryptic message. The leak everyone's looking for isn't a player, it's someone higher, much higher. The tweet went viral instantly. People started speculating. Was it a coach, a staffer, an assistant GM, a front office mole, someone in ownership? And then the account posted a second and final message. You're all watching the wrong suspect. The real enemy is sitting in meetings smiling. Then the account deleted itself. Gone, deleted like it never existed. And just like that, the entire Lakers organization realized this isn't a feud, this isn't a conflict, this isn't normal tension. This is an inside conspiracy, a coordinated takedown, a sabotage plot. Someone powerful had decided the Lakers needed to be rebuilt, and the first step was destroying the superstar's credibility from the inside. But the players didn't know yet, the coaches didn't know yet, even the front office didn't know. But the leaks weren't random. They were strategic. They were planned. They were coming from a source so protected, so unexpected, so deeply integrated into the Lakers system that the truth, once revealed, will shatter the franchise. Because the real traitor isn't a bench player, isn't a veteran, isn't a frustrated role guy. The mastermind is someone whose influence touches every part of the team. And their next leak will expose the one secret the Lakers never wanted the world to know. The moment news broke that the Lakers' locker room was imploding from the inside, not because of losing streaks, not because of bad coaching, not because of injuries, but because of an internal sabotage campaign against the superstar, the entire basketball world went into full meltdown mode. Social media didn't just react, it detonated. Within minutes, the hashtags #LakersLeak, #LockerRoomSpy, and #WhoIsTheTraitor began trending simultaneously across X, Instagram, TikTok, and even sports betting sites. The narrative had shifted from "the Lakers are struggling" to "the Lakers are collapsing and the mole is still inside the building." Fans weren't arguing about rotations or minutes anymore. They were arguing about betrayal, loyalty, legacy, and the leaking of secrets meant to destroy players' reputations. One viral tweet read, "Bro, this ain't basketball anymore. This is game of THRONES in purple and gold." Another said, "There's no way this team survives the season. This locker room is toxic." A fan page posted, "Someone in that organization wants the superstar gone. You don't leak all that info unless you're trying to kill his career." But the real chaos erupted when NBA insiders started weighing in. A well-known reporter wrote, "In 20 years of covering the league, I've never seen a situation this hostile. These aren't normal leaks. This is deliberate character assassination." Another insider tweeted, "There is clearly a coordinated effort to remove the superstar. Somebody powerful is pulling strings." ESPN analysts dedicated entire segments to decoding the leaks. Former players who had lived through toxic locker rooms began analyzing body language, tone, and tension from previous games. One retired star said on live television, "You can feel that something is wrong. Look at their huddles. Look at their chemistry. Somebody in that locker room does not want the superstar there." A former Laker chimed in, "I played on dysfunctional teams. I've never seen it get this deep. This is sabotage." Meanwhile, fans began dissecting every angle, every clip, every frame of locker room footage, searching for clues. People zoomed in on players whispering during timeouts. They slowed down videos of teammates walking off the court. They examined the superstar's reactions after missed plays. Theories spread everywhere. It's a jealous teammate. No, it's a vet who lost his starting spot. No, it's front office they want to rebuild. No, it's a staffer trying to get someone fired. Everyone had a suspect. Everyone had a motive. Everyone had a theory. But nobody had the truth. Yet. Because while fans argued online, the Lakers front office was in full crisis mode. Executives were calling emergency meetings. Agents were demanding explanations. PR teams were rewriting statements. Coaches were texting staffers to figure out who said what. Ownership wanted to know how deep the leaks ran. One insider said, "This is the deepest dysfunction we've seen since the Kobshak Wars, except this time there's an anonymous traitor manipulating everything." And the players, they felt the pressure immediately. The younger guys began distancing themselves from veterans. Veterans began distancing themselves from the coaching staff. Stars began isolating from everyone. During warm-ups of their next game, cameras caught a chilling moment. The superstar stretching alone, two teammates laughing in the corner, another player staring at the superstar with a look fans described as icy. ESPN replayed that clip nearly 50 times, and then things got worse. Because just when the Lakers thought the media storm had reached its peak, a cryptic burner account posted a message that sent the entire NBA community into hysteria. The mole is not who you think. The mastermind is higher. The superstar isn't the only target. The tweet had nearly 90,000 likes before disappearing. Sports podcasts immediately spent hours decoding the meaning of higher. Did it mean coaching, front office, ownership? Someone with power? But then the account posted one final message before deleting itself forever. The next leak will expose everything. Watch the team, watch who benefits, the truth is coming. The entire internet froze. Even NBA players from other teams began reacting. A star from the East tweeted, "Lakers got a whole spy movie going on." Another player posted, "This is wild. Somebody getting traded ASAP." A former Lakers role player posted a cryptic message, "Never surprised when that organization melts down. Seen things y'all wouldn't believe." Fans begged for clarification, but he never replied. TV networks began running breaking news banners about the situation. It wasn't just a sports story anymore, it was spreading to mainstream media. One headline read, "Lakers locker room civil war, internal leaker targeting superstar." Another said, "Unrest in Los Angeles, SOURCES believes saboteur is someone with significant power." But the most shocking headline came from an outlet known for deep investigative pieces. LAKS confirmed someone inside the Lakers wants the superstar erased. Erase, not replaced, not traded, erased. Fans lost their minds, and meanwhile the superstar, he looked more furious than ever. Reporters described his demeanor as cold, distant, emotionally done, on edge. During a post-game interview, he was asked directly, "Do you think someone on the team is sabotaging you?" He stared into the camera with eyes full of betrayal and said, "I know for a fact someone is." And then, he walked away, no explanation, no recovery, just pain. The clip went viral instantly. Players from other teams started texting each other, "Yo, someone's getting exposed soon." And finally, just when the internet couldn't handle another twist, a source close to the Lakers revealed that the next leak is not about tension, not about arguments, not about trade rumors. It's about a hidden relationship inside the organization. One that, if exposed, will reveal exactly who has been pulling strings from the shadows, and why the superstar was the true target all along. And the identity behind that relationship will turn the entire NBA upside down. The world may not be ready for what comes next. The leak about a hidden relationship inside the Lakers organization didn't just shake the internet. It sent a shockwave straight through the league office, through every front office executive, through every broadcast network, through every teammate sitting quietly in their hotel room pretending they weren't checking their phones every 5 seconds. Because suddenly the conversation wasn't about basketball anymore. It wasn't about winning. It wasn't about rotations or defense or chemistry. It was about power. It was about control. It was about someone inside the franchise pulling emotional strings like a puppeteer hidden behind velvet curtains. And the closer reporters looked, the darker the picture became. What people didn't realize was this. The mole wasn't leaking because they hated the superstar. They weren't leaking because of jealousy or resentment or playing time drama. They weren't leaking because of ego, they were leaking because of loyalty. Loyalty to someone they had a relationship with, someone in the franchise with influence, someone whose position allowed them to shape narratives quietly, strategically, invisibly. Someone who had been whispering in the mole's ear, feeding them information, pushing them emotionally, convincing them that sabotaging the superstar wasn't just helpful, it was necessary. And that person wasn't a teammate, wasn't a coach, wasn't the GM, wasn't even the owner. It was someone far more unexpected, a person who moved between departments, a person who had access to players and executives, a person who wasn't governed by typical power structure, because their relationships were their power. A Lakers senior staff member, someone who had built an emotional connection, private, quiet, hidden, with the very player who eventually became the mole. Insiders had been whispering about this for months. A certain player suddenly getting unusual leniency. A certain staff member defending them in meetings. A certain executive stepping into conversations they normally wouldn't. But nobody thought much of it until now. Because this relationship wasn't just romantic, it was strategic. The staff member confided in the player that the superstar was holding the franchise back, that the front office wanted a new direction, that certain people didn't see him as the leader anymore. And the player, convinced they were doing something noble, something aligned with the organization's future, began feeding information to reporters. Not realizing that the staff member wasn't protecting the franchise, they were protecting themselves. Because here's the twist that turned the entire story upside down. The staff member had been pushing an agenda for MO and THS. A quiet internal campaign to get the superstar traded so that their person, their mole, their emotionally manipulated partner, would rise into a much bigger role on the team. More minutes, more spotlight, more influence. A future built on eliminating the superstar. And when the leaks started working, when fans began questioning the superstar, when analysts shifted their tone, when the locker room started cracking, the staff member doubled down. They encouraged the mole to leak more. They pushed them to release the audio. They pushed them to release the quotes. They pushed them to distort conversations. They pushed them to turn teammates against each other. And the mole listened. Because they trusted the wrong person. But here's where the story takes its darkest turn. The superstar discovered the relationship. And not by accident. He discovered it because one teammate, one who had been quiet through the chaos, one who had stayed out of the drama, one who saw everything but said nothing, finally broke. They pulled the superstar aside after practice. And in a voice shaking with fear, they said, "You're not being targeted by the team, you're being targeted by them." The superstar asked who them was. The teammate whispered a name. And the superstar froze. The name wasn't a player, wasn't a coach, wasn't an executive, but it was someone he had trusted, someone he had spoken to privately, someone who often sat in on meetings he thought were confidential, someone he had celebrated wins with, someone he had confided frustrations to, and the betrayal hit him like a punch to the chest. That night, the superstar confronted the staff member, not yelling, not angry, just hurt. "I know what you did," he said quietly. The staff member didn't deny it. Instead, they said, "You were never supposed to find out, but the Lakers need a new era and you're in the way." And before the superstar could respond, the staff member added, "And guess what? The leak isn't stopping. The next one, it's the one that finishes you." The superstar left the room shaken. Hours later, the internet exploded. Because a new report was published, the most damaging leak yet. And this one contained accusations that could permanently damage the superstar's legacy, reputation, and future. But the twist, the report contained information so sensitive, so private, so protected, that only someone with internal access to team databases could have obtained it. Meaning the mole had help, professional help. And that's when fans realized the traitor in the locker room wasn't the mastermind. They were the weapon. The real mastermind was someone above the players, someone weaving narratives, someone shaping the future of the franchise, someone with enough access to permanently rewrite the fate of the Lakers. And their next move is already in motion. The final leak hasn't happened yet, but when it drops, it will end someone's career. And nobody knows who the target is, not the superstar, not the mole, not the coaches, not the front office. But the mastermind does, and they're smiling. And now that you've seen the truth unravel, now that every leak, every betrayal, every hidden relationship, every shadowy mastermind has come crawling out of the darkness, the biggest question isn't what happened inside the Lakers' locker room. The biggest question is, what happens next? Because this story isn't over, not even close. The mole is still inside the building, the mastermind is still pulling strings, the superstar is still being targeted. And the final leak, the one powerful enough to end a career, hasn't even dropped yet. So I need you to weigh in. Do you think the superstar deserves better? Do you think the mole was manipulated, or were they acting out of jealousy? Do you think the secret staff member is really running the franchise from the shadows? And most importantly, who do you think the next leak is going to destroy? Will the superstar be the one who falls? Will the mole get exposed by accident? Will the mastermind finally get unmasked? Or will the entire Lakers organization crumble before the truth comes out? Drop your theories in the comments right now because your predictions are part of this investigation. I want to hear everything. Who's the traitor? Who's lying? Who's playing both sides? Who deserves blame? Who deserves sympathy? And who deserves to be called out? Tell me exactly who you think is behind the sabotage and who you think the next victim will be. And if you want the next chapter, the next leak, the next twist, the next shocking moment that sends the NBA world into meltdown, hit that subscribe button. Turn on notifications and get ready because the next episode. It's bigger, it's darker, it's messier. And it will change everything you thought you knew about the Lakers. Trust me, you do not want to miss what comes next.